Do we say first names, last names?
First name's enough,
Okay.
yeah. I'm Charles, you're Randy.
Yeah, okay. Well, welcome. Wait. So, okay.
I think you should welcome him.
Well, welcome. This is the first episode of Two Introverts Walk into a Bar. I'm Randy. This is Charles. And throughout the coming weeks, hopefully we'll just talk a little bit about what's on our mind, just like we usually do when we sit and have coffee each and every week.
Thank you, Randy. And what's been on my mind is a phrase I heard lately. Goes like this. Only some of the world's suffering can be cured. The rest has to be healed.
Maybe for my own good, explain those differences.
Well, often we look at cure and heal as the same. But in this context, I think what they're trying to say is cure, meaning we're back to how we once were. Whatever happened to us, it's taken away. It's sort of finding your happiness in the life you once had. Not all of the suffering comes into our life that we can go back there and say, okay, it's all gone now. The healing, I think, means we still have the suffering, the scar, whatever just wasn't what we had hoped for. But somehow, in paying attention to it, there has been some healing, and actually we can find a new life. And so it's forward-looking as opposed to looking back and saying, oh, I want what this was. So
Yeah. So curing ties a bow around something,
yes,
and you can
Yes.
kind of put it on the shelf.
yes,
Healing, it's going to be with you. It's going to be with you. Yeah, and so bringing that into my own life, the healing portion, that will always be with me for a couple of circumstances. My wife passed away about 3 years ago, and I'm in the process of healing. I'm always going to be in the process of healing. People say, well, you'll move on. You don't move on. You don't move on from somebody passing away in your life. What will happen in my life, I will move forward. And the thing that propels me forward are the memories, are the great memories that only get richer as time goes by. And to me, I think that's my healing. These constant memories of my wife and just the good feelings that I get when I think about her. And that's a healing for me.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And the suffering changes you for the better.
It does.
It changes what kind of person you are, and we become something we hadn't planned on becoming.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yep, I can definitely see the difference between the two.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. And for me, as I look at all the suffering in the world, I can feel pretty overwhelmed at times. So if I think only in terms of curing, I got to fix this. That's overwhelming and extremely depressing. I mean, how can anyone begin to? But if I realize that some suffering is meant to be, in this future-oriented sense, to change me, maybe.
Yeah.
I can more lean into it and let God be part of that. And okay, God, this is not what I wanted, but I have this optimism, if not a cure, then healing.
Yes.
And that gives me a lot of hope. And as we're getting older, there's fewer and fewer things that are going to be cured.
Yes.
But we can't go back to our 20s or 30s. But if we have this optimism that, yeah, but the way ahead, God is in all of these stuff that we may not want.
Yep, absolutely.
And we can be optimistic.
And we may not want it, we
Yeah.
may not understand it in this life, but we will know what it's all about when we see heaven, when we see God. And it's going to make sense to us. Yep.
And I've heard you say that before, and there's a great optimism that you don't have to necessarily get it or explain it to anybody else, but you have this optimism about healing, that what can't be cured, well, we can find that healing, that sense of there's some purpose in all this, and just keep going one step at a time,
Yeah.
huh? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, as they say, a gut feeling
Yes,
that I
yes,
believe to my very soul.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's a truth that you earned, I think, in how you just paid attention to
Yeah.
life. Yeah, very
Absolutely.
good, very
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Well, good.
yes.
Well, you want to wrap it up?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Well, we invite people to look at the suffering that is in the world, not to put it all on one side that it has to be all fixed or cured. That's a killer of a job description, and it also makes us very hopeless. Like how will this ever work? But to see there's some that's almost unfinished business, and there's some good stuff there. That's the healing. That's the stuff. If we stay with it, changes us. And I think it enriches us in terms of the real important stuff of life, and I think that's where God shows up. So I just invite you to see this. There's two different types of suffering, and especially pay attention to the suffering that has no cure, but it has healing. And the healing, as you're suggesting, is something worth experiencing.
Mhm. Good, thank you. Well, thank you for watching the first initial episode of Two Introverts Walk Into a Bar. And we'll probably have to explain that title.
Or someone explain it to us.